All right, everybody, I've been waiting for this for almost 3 months, and I have tried this a couple of different times and it had varying degrees of success. I think this one actually is going to work really well, but I wanted to video it and go from where I pull the birds out of the garage to making the jerky and tell you how it tastes. So I have aged these birds 2 months. They have been laying breast down on my garage floor where it holds the temperature. Show everybody, this is what, so I open this bird up and that's what it looks like. It just looks like regular goose breast, but it's extremely tender. Like the second you put on this Havalon knife, by the way, if you guys don't have a Havalon knife, get one. It is razor sharp and you can cut with really, really great precision, but this meat is so tender. When I pull the skin back, and the skin actually, I'm surprised, the feathers haven't started to slip. Just in really good shape, and they've just been laying on the floor of the garage on that concrete, that cold concrete. So you cut back in like this, right along the keel bone. And the only thing I don't know is I didn't gut these birds. I literally left them whole because I didn't want to cut anything open and inject anything inside. But you can see the meat is nice and red, and it is just, I mean, if you've ever breasted a goose out, you know that the meat is extremely tough, and this is just really, really tender. Alright, so we're going to wash these with cold water. And what I want to do is get all the blood. So there's this main blood vessel here, and you can see there's blood that pushes out of that. So you just massage a little bit, get as much blood out of that main vessel as you can get. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these out, and this is that smaller, this is the tenderloin, and this makes a great piece of jerky, and it just comes off. There's a little tiny strip that lays right in the keel bone of that goose. So I'm gonna cut this stuff off right here. By the way, these Havalon knives are legit, and I hesitated buying one for a really long time because I thought, well, that's kind of wasteful. It's, you know, you putting new blades on it. Razor sharp when you need it, and they're not sponsoring this. Like, I like knives, I like to sharpen knives, but when I need a good sharp knife, and I know when I open that blade, it is gonna be razor sharp, and it is. They are, like, I haven't cut myself with it yet, which I'm kind of happy about. I'm gonna try to avoid that because I think that it would require a trip to the hospital. They're that sharp. So let's cut all the silver skin off. And these have a weird aroma. I mean, goose doesn't smell that great anyway. And it's not that it smells bad, it's just definitely different than when you open them up the day of the kill and cut them. So we're just gonna cut across the grain, about 1/4 inch slices. And this is so sharp that it glides right through it. And the meat is extremely tender. So that's the whole purpose behind aging it, is to get that, all those enzymes working on the meat. So, so we're gonna see if this, I'm gonna get this on the smoker and get the spices and all that stuff in it, if it tastes any good. I don't think that it's bad. It just is, it's aged, so it has some character in it. So alright, the only reason I wear gloves is because my wife doesn't like the way the stuff smells. So what I do is I take, you can see the grain is across this way. This is the keel bone side of the breast right here. I lay them toward the keel bone to my right, and I cut at a diagonal across this, and you can just see I don't have to saw with this knife at all. It just glides right through. Grab a hold, keep it from pulling, because if it pulls, it thins the slice out, and you want these to be as uniform as you can so that they smoke in a uniform fashion, so you don't end up with a bunch of charcoal ends on one end and too high moisture content on the other. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but just get them so that they're uniform shape and size. I don't have one yet. I really want to get a trigger. I have a friend that has one, and it's a good trade for both of us because he does the smoking, and then they get to eat some jerky, and he has 7 kids, and it's kind of funny, on jerky smoking day, even their baby absolutely cannot get enough of this jerky. And the thing I love about goose jerky is that it's extremely lean. It's about as organic as you can get. I mean, they're still eating on crops all the time, which we'll get into that in later videos of what that actually means. I think they have a fairly decent barometer on what they need to eat and what they shouldn't be eating. And I'm not sure of that, but that's something that I'm hoping is hardwired into them. And when it's done, and this sounds kind of bad, I don't mean it this way, but geese have a fairly strong flavor when they're fresh, and you really have to make them, you have to work on them and make them taste good. It's just part of cooking. The thing I love about the jerky is that it works itself into all of the meat, and this actually tastes like really good beef jerky. And you know, you're not grilling the whole breast. It really does make a really great use of this meat. And the thing that I love about it is that it's fairly shelf stable. When I get this done, I'll vacuum seal it in vacuum bags, and it goes in the freezer, and it holds, because it's in the vacuum bags, it can actually hold for a really long time. We've had it for some of the jerky that we've had. It doesn't always last 2 years, but I've had it go for a couple of years where, you know, we just have a package that falls to the back of the freezer that we forgot about, and it really is good. And it's kind of a cool thing in the summertime after you thought you ate it all to find a package of it and eat it. One thing I did notice is that these lessers, this is a smaller breast, they have more of a cheese type smell to them, and the bigger birds are a little more, smell a lot more like just normal goose breast. So I don't know if the aging process in these was different. And I'm cutting off, trimming off all of the discolored meat if there is any. I'm trying to get as much of the silver skin off as I can get. And the nice thing about doing jerky is that we get this, it's cured, so it's using nitrates to cure it. You'll see that when we get the spices in. And that's what we want. We want it to be shelf stable. So last one here. Get these in good 1/4 to 3/8 inch strips. Some of the stuff that I've done over the years, I try to tilt my knife and cut so that they're a bigger, you know, silver dollar shaped piece of meat. These actually will probably shrink up a little, but they're, you know, it's good long strip type jerky. So, alright, so we're done cutting. And it's just this common scene scale from Costco. Turn it on, and then I'm going to set this colander on it. And hit the tear units on it. Slide it over here, bring my bowl of meat. Roll up the meat. Colander. You need to be able to weigh this because then that tells you how much curing salt you need. And that's how I get my recipe made, so. Alright, we got 7 pounds, 7 ounces. So that's 7.5 pounds. So we're gonna make for. Okay. I handed in a little notebook here. Goose jerky. So I'm gonna hold this up and see if you can see this, and I'll freeze frame it. Looks like it's all gonna be backwards. That's kind of silly. So in the description, I will leave the recipe for this. I'm gonna adjust this a little bit, and instead of using garlic powder, I'm gonna use fresh garlic and make a slurry with some water so that it works through the meat and gives it a little bit heavier flavor. So I'm just gonna go over this. Morton's Tender Quick salt, 1 tablespoon per pound of meat. So we've got 7.5 pounds, so we'll have 7.5 tablespoons of Tender Quick. 1/4 cup of brown sugar per pound of meat. A teaspoon of onion powder per pound of meat. A 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder per pound of meat. 1/4 teaspoon of celery salt per pound of meat. Cayenne or red pepper flakes, however, if you guys want it spicy. 1/8 of a teaspoon per pound of meat is what I use, and then 1/4 teaspoon of ground black pepper per pound of meat. And then I cook it at 180 degrees for 4 to 6 hours. I have used white sugar with molasses, 1/2 cup of Everglades. Heat, let's see, how did I say that? 1/8 of a cup of Everglades heat for 12 pounds of meat, and that was this year that I tried that. So that's the recipe, and I'll start mixing it up. I have this little food processor thing. Just dump it in there. I use about that many. 1 1/4 heads of garlic. hard to smash. This has a crack in it. Let's see if that's... Oh, give that a shot. All right, so for 7.5 pounds of meat, I've got 1/2 cup of tender quick salt, 2 cups of brown sugar, 3 tablespoons of onion powder, 2 teaspoons of celery salt, and 1 teaspoon of red pepper. And all I do is I just take my pieces and I just put it in there like that. So this is kind of my set of plan. Last night, didn't get picked up, but brown sugar. That's the garlic slurry that I just made. That's gonna make that nice and tasty. And then these spices. So you need to make sure you get it mixed up evenly. And the way I figure that out is when the brown sugar no longer has any clumps, it's not all stuck together, and it's in one uniform shape and color. You can see it turns this really nice mahogany red color. And that's what you want. So, and you want to move fairly quickly after you get the spices in it, because the sugar and the salt really start pulling the moisture out of the meat, and it takes the spices with it. So you want those spices, you want it marinating that meat. I take my bags and I fold the tops over so you don't get anything on the zipper. And then you just feed it in there. First one's always the hardest to get in there without getting stuff everywhere. There we go. We've got these bags. Now the trick to this is you want to get all the air out of this that you can, so it doesn't have any air pockets. So I start to seal it, keep pressing until it starts to push up in that open spot of that bag, and then seal the bag off. And then you want to smash it out so that it is as thin as you can make it. Got a little air pocket here, so we're gonna get rid of that. So, there you go. I don't know if you can see that. Those are the 2 bags. We've got 2 Ziploc bags. We'll get those in the refrigerator and then we'll smoke them.